It's officially the week leading up to the 3.8 update, and today I'm here with the full build guide for the Dahlia or Constance. For this video, I'm going to say Constance. I apologize being away for the last few days. I did get hit with a sickness randomly, and I finally have recovered to the point where I can make videos. Not sure if my voice gives it away, and also the fact that I don't have my mask on. I unfortunately am not fully recovered, so I might sound a bit iffy, and obviously I cannot do face cam. Hopefully that will return sometime later this week or next week. Anyway, I'm going to take you over everything you do need to know in order to build Constance, including her kit overview, Lightcone options, Relic Stats, and Ornament recommendations, and then the stats for main stats and substats. Click on my link in the description right now to join me for a journey in Raid Shadow Legends. It supports my channel a lot and gives you a legendary start in the game with Elenaro, as well as 3 awesome epic champs. Don't waste any time and click on the link right away. I appreciate you guys. So Constance's basic attack will deal fire damage based off her attack to a designated enemy. Her skill deploys a zone and the duration decreases by 1 at the start of Constance's turn, then deals fire damage based off her attack to a designated enemy and their adjacent targets, and while the zone is active, everyone on your team's weakness break efficiency will increase by 50%. Toughness reduction taken by enemy targets while not weakness broken can now be converted into super break damage. Her ultimate will inflict the wilt state debuff on every enemy for 4 turns, then will deal fire damage based off her attack, which is distributed across all enemies. Enemy targets with wilt will have their defense reduced by 18% and will also apply the weakness type of all dance partners to the enemy targets. Her talent lets Constance regenerate 35 energy when entering battle and will grant dance partner to both Constance and the unit who did trigger combat. Whenever there is no other dance partner on the field, it will grant dance partner to this unit, which is Constance, and the teammate with the highest break effect. After a dance partner attacks a weakness broken enemy target, the toughness reduction from this attack is converted to an instance of super break damage at 60%. After an enemy target is attacked by the other dance partner, the Dahlia will launch a follow-up attack which deals 5 instances of damage, each dealing fire damage based off her attack to a random enemy. After each instance of damage dealt to a weakness broken enemy, the toughness reduction from this attack is converted to an instance of super break damage at 200%, and the effect can only trigger once per turn. If the target is defeated before the follow-up attack is launched, it will be launched at a random enemy instead. Her technique will create a special dimension for 20 seconds. Enemies in the dimension will not actively attack allied targets. After entering combat with the dimension active, Constance automatically will deploy her skill zone and converts the trigger toughness reduction into 1 instance of super break damage at 60% against the enemy targets that are weakness broken. Her A2 will increase other characters' break effect equal to 24% of Constance's break effect plus 50% for 1 turn when entering combat. The effect will trigger again, lasting 3 turns, whenever Constance will receive a heal or shield from a teammate, but cannot be triggered repeatedly within a single turn. Her A4, when using the talent's follow-up attack, it will recover a skill point for allies. The effect can be triggered once for every 2 talent's follow-up attacks used. And her A6, when an allied target adds weakness to enemy target, increases speed by 30% for 2 turns. If an ally fire character implants a weakness when using an attack, deals 20 fixed amount of fire toughness reduction after the attack for every target with the weakness implanted. Also regenerates energy equal to an amount of 10% of max energy. The maximum amount of energy regenerated through this effect is capped at 50% of max energy. By the way, Constance herself can also get the 30% speed buff when using her ultimate, since she does implant the weakness of dance partners, which she herself will always be considered one. So as she will always implant fire weakness, she is able to make use of that trace when you do use your ultimate. For her Eidolons, her E1 applies the talent's super break damage multiplier provided to dance partner to all allied characters, with dance partner additionally receiving a 40% boost. After dance partner uses an attack, deals an additional fixed amount of toughness reduction equal to 25% of the enemy target's max toughness, minimum of 10 points up to 300 points. This effect can only trigger once per enemy target, and the trigger count for each target resets after the enemy target receives a killing blow. Her E2, when Constance is on the field, decreases all enemies all-type res by 20%. When an enemy target enters the field, immediately inflicts the wilt state on them for 3 turns. Her E4 increases the instances of damage dealt by the talent's follow-up attack by 5, and every hit increases the target's damage taken by 12% for 2 turns. Her E6 increases dance partner's break effect by 150%. When using her talent's follow-up attack, advances the next action of all dance partners by 20%. For Lightcones, of course, her best one is going to be her own signature Lightcone, providing a 60% increase to the wearer's break effect. When entering combat, increases break damage dealt by the wearer and another teammate who triggered combat by 32%. If there are no teammates who triggered combat, applies the effect to the wearer and the teammate with the highest break effect. Effects of the same type cannot be stacked. When the wearer applies a weakness to an enemy target, recovers a skill point, and the effect can only trigger once and the trigger count resets when using ultimate. So providing a break effect stat stick is valuable on its own because she does increase the team's break effect based off her own, so a 60% increase to break effect is going to help with that a lot. On top of that, usually on these break teams, there's always going to be a center character doing most of the damage, which is going to be the one that triggers combat now. So Constance herself and also the main character dealing damage, so Bootil, Firefly, Rappa, whoever, both will gain a 32% increase to their break damage entering combat. So that's just going to be a free 32% break damage dealt for the entire battle as well. On top of that, now anytime you do use your ultimate with Constance, she's able to recover a skill point. It does reset every time the wearer does use the ultimate, but in this case, you need to use your ultimate to apply the actual weakness implant from her base kit anyways. So the effect and the requirement to get that skill point isn't going to help too much. Isn't really going to be that much of a problem because you need to use your ultimate to implant anyways. So with everything this Lightcone is providing, break effect again will also increase everyone else's break effect, 32% break damage dealt for both Constance herself and also your main DPS triggering combat, and also an extra skill point, which is especially good for people who maybe don't have E1 Firefly or especially are using someone like Bootil, makes this Lightcone her far and none best option. Another good option on her is a Fugue signature Lightcone, which does provide the wearer also 60% increase to break effect. When an enemy target's weakness gets broken, there's a 100% base chance to inflict the charring state on it, which will increase its break damage taken by 18% for 2 turns, stacks up to 2 times. As I've already mentioned with the actual signature Lightcone, the 60% break effect does go a long way. And now you gain access to the charring debuff, which can make enemies take up to a total of 36% more break damage, and this is not only for something like Constance and the main DPS themselves. Like how her signature Lightcone does have, this is going to be for everyone on the team, so no matter who's doing damage, dealing break damage will be increased. The only downside is to guarantee this debuff to land on enemy targets, you will need about 67% break effect, which can be a little annoying to get, especially on a character where you don't necessarily want to build effect hit rate. Due to that, it can be, again, very annoying to actually get consistently. You don't have to go for a full guarantee if you are able to finish the battle before the times. If you are able to get lucky enough pretty much to land it and it does go well, which in a lot of cases will be what happens. You don't always have to build up to the full amount. It's just nice to have so you can always guarantee it. But that would really be the only downside you do have. But otherwise, it is going to be a really solid option to use. Another option you can use is actually a little iffy, but still does work, but that is Cypher's signature Lightcone, providing 18% increase of speed for the wearer. After the wearer uses an attack, there's a 120% base chance to inflict the bamboozle stay on every enemy target. Under Bamboozled, the enemy targets have their defense decreased by 16% for 2 turns, and if the wearer does have 170 speed or higher, there's a 120% base chance to inflict theft on every enemy target. And while under theft, they have an additional 8% defense shred for 2 turns, and when triggering both of them repeatedly, only the most recently inflicted instance takes effect. So the reason I said iffy is, one, you do need to build a good amount of speed on your Constance to get the full effect, 170 speed in battle mainly, which really depends on how your relics and stuff are doing. To get the actual full effect, you would need to reach about 140-ish speed before going into battle, because when you go into battle and you activate the speed buff in her base trace, she gets above 170. And she has 96 base speed, so you need a little more than just 140 exactly, because the percentage buffs do go off base speed and doesn't count for trace stuff, but a trace also gives 5. This would be going off 96%. This would be going off the 96. So the 18% would be going into the actual 96 base speed, and so would the 30% buff. Nonetheless, with both speed buffs and the base buff in our trace, it's actually not going to be that hard. The main issue is it doesn't provide any break effect, which is going to make you give less break effect to your team, which might be very valuable to a lot of people. And so using something that provides break effect might be more valuable to a lot of people, but defense shred is also really good on these break teams. Problem is with these break teams, to achieve 100% defense shred / defense ignore, it's actually possible without this. That, of course, depends on what other investments you have. There's also 4-piece Iron Cavalry and what other sets you are running, support Eidolons and DPS Eidolons, and so on and so forth. I'd only really recommend using this if you don't have any other option that I'm going to get into that has help with break effect, and you're also not achieving a big overcap with these defense shred values. as this provides a total of 24% defense shred. If you're already hitting like 95 and then you're running this Lightcone, which provides you a bunch more, then it would just genuinely not be worth it at all. But let's say maybe you're hitting 60 or 70% instead, then this can actually become a lot more valuable. So depending on your situation, can be a really good Lightcone to use. Another 5-star option would be the Herder Shop Lightcone at S5, which is 40% break effect. Just ignore the last part, that's kind of just worthless. It's mainly just being a defense shred. It's mainly just being a break effect stat stick, so you can use it for that reason. And then same case would apply to Fermata at S5 at 32% break effect. You would just use that as a stat stick if you have none of the other options. You can also use Resolutions Lightcone, which does provide a 12% defense shred to enemy targets with a 60% base chance, inflicting ensnared onto those targets that are hit. At S5, ensnared chance has 100% base chance and a 16% defense shred. It's just a worse version of the Cypher Lightcone that also does need more effect hit rate. This Lightcone also would need, similar to Fugue's signature Lightcone, around 67% break effect. But same case with the Cypher Lightcone that I did mention. If this helps you get good defense shred and you have no other option really to use, you can use this instead. This last Lightcone I'm going to mention is a bit more situational depending on the build you are doing, but that is the tutorial Lightcone. Effect hit rate does become useless because the effect hit rate parts of what her build would want would be depending on the Lightcone, and you don't need any effect hit rate for this Lightcone specifically. And her base kit doesn't have a reason to have effect hit rate either, so that's why the effect hit rate is useless. It's for the 8 energy you can get at S5. Her ultimate state, the Willed state, does actually have enemies under perma defense reduction, as long as it is active, so you can get 8 energy attacking those enemy targets. The only time this would really be a Lightcone you would use you want to use is if you are really just trying to build a Constance that just wants to spam attack, maybe to generate skill points and such. So it would be a setup with like an ER rope. You'd be running as much speed as possible. You'd also be running something like Eagle Set, and you'd run this Lightcone to help you spam as many ultimates as possible. The downside to that build and running a Lightcone like this would be less break effect because you're focusing on speed more, less damage of course as well, at the exchange of running her as a skill point generator while also being able to dump more ultimates in and also generating you skill points, as I already mentioned. So if you are interested in that build, you can use the tutorial mission Lightcone. For Relic Stats, this of course does depend on what you want to do. If you want to focus more on her personal damage, 4-piece Iron Cavalry will be your way to go with 16% break effect, 10% defense ignore to break damage dealt to enemy targets when reaching 150% or higher break effect, and reaching 250% or higher break effect will make the super break damage dealt to enemy targets additionally ignore 15% of their defense. 2-piece is great, break effect is going to make her do more damage overall anyways, and also further amplify her buff. And now getting over 250% break effect will help you get a lot of defense ignore for your break damage. She also converts instances to super break damage dealt anyways, so she's able to make full use of this as long as you do have the 250% break effect requirement. This is the best relic set you want to use. Honestly, in general, this is mainly the one you would want to use, but it's also just the one you want to use if you want to focus on the best damage out of your Constance as well. If you want to focus on getting her as much of a break effect buff as possible, as I did mention, it does scale off her own break effect. You would just do 2-piece break, 2-piece break, so 2-piece Iron Cavalry with 2-piece Watchmaker, or one of those with 2-piece Thief set. Now the last option would be what I did mention with the tutorial mission Lightcone, and that is the Eagle set for the 4-piece, which when the wearer uses their ultimate, their action is advanced forward by 25%. So combining that with the tutorial Lightcone, combining that with an ER rope, you are able to run this set and build as much speed as possible, sacrificing more break effect rolls and damage purposes to get a very, very fast Constance to act a lot to generate you skill points, keep uptime on her ultimate permanently, and really just spam ultimates. That's really the only setup you'd want to use the Eagle Honor for. For ornaments, overall the best one is going to be the Forge set, providing 6% speed, and when the wearer hits an enemy with fire weakness, the wearer's break effect increases by 40% for one turn, and as she is able to implant the weakness of the dance partners, including herself, so always will be fire weakness on them. When you do have the ultimate up, that's practically full active uptime on this, or if you're pairing her with Firefly, it will genuinely be permanent uptime even if her ult's not active, as long as your Firefly does have the implant active. So 6% speed plus 40% break effect, very, 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 very valuable. This is overall the best one you can use. You can also use Dahlia as well, but Dahlia is just a worse forge on her especially. Gives you up to a 36% increase to break effect, which is already worse than the 40% that Forge provides and doesn't provide a speed. So there's really no reason to ever use Dahlia over Forge. You just happen to have really good Dahlia pieces and you don't have Forge yet, that would be the only case. For the main stats on the relics, For the body, primarily you will do HP percent or defense percent for the best survivability. If you are running a light cone like Cypher's light cone or Fugue's light cone and you want to get effect hit rate, you can run an effect hit rate body to make up for the amount you would need to guarantee the debuffs. It would overall reduce her survivability, which won't matter if you are trying to make full use of her kit with the sustain, which you practically always will be running her with Linkshot or Gallagher. So in those cases, it won't matter as much unless it's a very hard endgame such as Anomaly, and it will very much matter if you are running her in sustainless. So overall, HP percent slash defense percent body is going to be your way to go for best survivability. For the feet, you want to run speed. For the orb, same thing as the body, HP percent or defense percent. And for the link rope, mainly you want to do break effect since you are able to guarantee uptime on her ultimate relatively easily. But if you are doing a super fast setup, eagle setup, tutorial mission setup, whatever, then you can use energy regen rope. For the substats, first, you just want to prioritize as much speed as you can, and also just as much break effect as you can. Those are really the only things you want to focus on. Having your 134 breakpoint is going to be ideal, because when you do get the speed buff in her base trace, that's going to take you over to 160. If you're looking at a really fast setup, then of course just get as much as possible. If you're able to get her to hyper speed or higher than that, that's going to be extremely ideal. Even if you're not going for a ult spamming potential one, just get as much speed as you do want to get. Of course, that becomes even more valuable if you are running an eagle setup, but eagle setup or not, as much speed as possible. If you're able to get her to hyperspeed, that's great, but if you can't, it's not the end of the world, especially since she does have a really good speed buff in her basic trace. And then for break effect, if you are running 4-piece Iron Cavalry, you will definitely 100% want to get that to 250% or higher to at least activate the full effect. But in Constance, focus on just speed and break effect balance and not going for a super hyper speed, not focusing on anything else. You'd want to get that anyways. So mainly for everyone that's going to be running Iron Cavalry, which will be most people, 250% or higher is going to be better. And if you're able to even reach 300% or higher than that, that's going to be extremely ideal. Past that, if you are able to get some HP percent and defense percent rolls, that is also going to be really good for survivability, as I did mention previously on the main stats parts as well. If you are running a light cone like Fugue or Cyphers, then you gain another priority with the effect hit rate stat. If you're running a body with effect hit rate, then you're not going to really need any requirement at all, as they'll provide you most of what you need. But if you're not, you want to get about 67% running Resolutions Lightcone or Fugue's Lightcone, and around 38% if you are running the Cypher Lightcone. And that does wrap up the full build guide for Constance. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this, along with other types of style content. Check the description to check out my Arcade channel, and once again, if you are interested in Raid Shadow Legends whatsoever, definitely be sure to click the link in the description below, as it will give you a very strong start when you do create your account. It also does help support the channel a little bit, so if you are interested whatsoever, once again, please feel free to do so. Anyway, I'll see you later. Peace out.